Hey everyone, and welcome to Founder Stack, the podcast where founders and product leaders meet modern tech strategy. I'm Emily, your host from Responsive.
Rob, and I'm Rob, engineering lead here at Responsive.
Okay, let's unpack this immediately. Forget the noise around the big generalist models for a second. We really need to talk about this recent and, frankly, completely unexpected release from Google, the one everyone's calling Nano Banana.
Yeah, it's definitely this specialized AI model release we kind of needed, but maybe didn't know how badly. Officially, you're looking for the Gemini 2.5 Flash image model. But the critical thing here, and what our sources really highlight, is this isn't some general LLM update. Its entire mission is laser-focused on advanced, fast image editing.
And that focus, that strategic choice, it changes everything, doesn't it? Google didn't just build like a slightly better tool. They built one centered around consumer access, immediate workflow integration, folding it straight into the Gemini app.
Right.
So from a design and UX perspective, the promise is super clear. Instantaneous, high-quality image changes without needing professional training or, firing at Photoshop.
And that shift from generation first to editing first, it's huge. For founders and engineers listening, you've got to realize this drastically changes the competitive landscape for basically any consumer app dealing with visuals. Because if the bar for complex edits drops this low, well, expectations for every app feature are going to rise overnight.
Okay, so let's dive into what this thing actually is. We've got the name, Gemini 2.5 Flash image. But what does its architecture tell us about Google's bigger AI strategy here?
Well, I think this model is a perfect example of Google's modular AI strategy really playing out. We're seeing a move away from these massive, single, monolithic models trying to do everything okay-ish.
Right, the jack-of-all-trades approach.
Exactly. Instead, they're rolling out these specialized high-performance models. They plug right into the Gemini platform to handle specific, demanding tasks like complex image manipulation with, maximum efficiency and speed.
And when we look at the user experience, what makes these edits stand out? Because the demos, they're showing stuff that normally takes multiple steps, layers, masking, the whole deal in Photoshop.
It's the natural language interface. That's the key difference. You're not fiddling with layers or selection tools. You type in these really complex descriptive text prompts, and the model just interprets and does the edit. The sources really flagged 3 areas where it shines. Detailed outfit changes on people.
Okay.
Sophisticated background retouching that keeps the environment consistent, which is tricky. And then seamlessly blending elements from different photos into one scene.
Those are huge efficiency boosters, absolutely.
Yeah.
But for me, the thing that went viral, the signal that really defined this release, according to early testers and benchmarks, was the consistency.
Yeah, the character consistency. And yes, that's probably the technical centerpiece here. Historically, right, you generate a complex character, then you ask the AI to change just one small thing, like make the shirt red instead of blue. The underlying model often kind of subtly regenerates the whole image.
Yeah.
And that shifts the face, maybe the lighting, the pose, just slightly.
Which instantly breaks the illusion. You know it's not the same person.
Exactly. Flash Image is reportedly best in class on this, which suggests Google has really cracked how to isolate specific elements. Maybe they're locking the latent vectors tied to the character's face, appearance, the lighting, only letting the model mess with the area defined in the prompt.
Wow.
Preserving that likeness across multiple complex edits. That's a massive technical hurdle they seem to have cleared.
Yeah.
And it's a huge win for any creative production pipeline where you're constantly iterating.
So we're not just talking minor touch-ups. We're talking generating a high-fidelity image and then treating it like a fully editable asset all through conversation. That's why the speed and accessibility are so key. You strip away the need for that technical training. It's democratizing high-end photo editing, basically.
That's the strategic market validation right there. Make the tool that intuitive and mass consumer adoption follows almost instantly, and that gives you a pathway into the professional market later on.
Let's shift gears a bit to the competitive landscape because, this model didn't just appear in a vacuum. If a founder is looking at which API to integrate for image editing, how does Flash Image stack up against the current giants, especially with this editing focus?
Yeah, good question. We need to define their niches, really. Let's start with DALL-E3. It's still a leader in overall generative quality, artistic coherence, especially when it's integrated with GPT-4. But when you look at detailed editing after generation or complex in-painting, like erasing a big object and filling the space realistically, it often struggles a bit with context and blending smoothly.
So great at making something totally new, but maybe less great at fixing or tweaking something that already exists.
Precisely. Then you've got MidJourney. That platform prioritizes just raw artistic power. That aesthetic quality makes it stunning images, no doubt. But the editing workflow, it's not streamlined at all. If you want to modify a specific area, you're relying heavily on their very region tool. It's kind of manual, a bit clunky, needs you to define masks, often takes multiple tries.
Right, not exactly conversational.
Not at all. It doesn't have that simple text-based editing that Flash Image is really championing.
And what about the high-tech open source option, Stable Diffusion?
Stable Diffusion offers, deep customization, total control, and it's open source, which is crucial for really technical teams or those needing very specific models. But for the average founder of a consumer app just looking for a robust, simple plug-and-play API, it's a significantly higher technical barrier to entry. Flash Image seems to have carved out this niche by focusing strategically on speed, seamless access, and that guaranteed consistency. It might sacrifice some deep technical knobs for a much better user experience out of the box.
That focus, intuitive consumer access and speed over maybe sheer technical depth, that feels like the key strategic signal here. And Google definitely played the marketing well, didn't they? Teasing with the banana emojis from Sundar Pichai.
Yeah, that got people talking.
And then the rapid viral spread, driven by places like El Marina, providing those public benchmarks that kind of confirmed its specific strengths.
It was smart. They didn't try to win on general AI intelligence across the board. They picked a single, really sharp pain point in the creative workflow and nailed it.
Okay, let's pivot hard now to the engineering and product side. If I'm a founder listening to this and I'm seeing these powerful capabilities, what's the immediate strategic opportunity here?
The API opportunity, straight up. Using Google's Gemini developer SDKs, that's the most immediate thing. This specialized editing function, it's built to be embedded. A founder can use this to instantly add serious capabilities to their own consumer app. You could go from basic photo display to complex AI editing, overnight.
And from the design and product side, that screams rapid prototyping to me. We're talking using tools like Figma, maybe hooking it up directly to the Gemini API to quickly validate that user journey. Don't spend 6 months building a custom editing stack from scratch.
Exactly.
Integrate the API first and see if users actually find that one-click outfit change or background swap valuable enough to stick around.
That validation step has got to be fast because the utility here goes way beyond just simple filters or minor tweaks. This can be deep product value.
Okay, give us a few specific integration use cases. Where would Flash Image be an instant game changer in a consumer app?
Well, think about e-commerce. Virtual try-ons, product placement, they become instantaneous and way more photorealistic. Instead of needing a clunky 3D model, maybe a user uploads a photo of their living room, and the app uses Flash Image to realistically pop in a new sofa, blend it with the lighting, or, for personalized stuff, imagine customizing products. A user uploads a photo of their car, and the app lets them see it in different colors, different wheels, maybe different materials using the model's repaintability. It gives you instant, pretty accurate visualization.
And in marketing, creative automation is a goldmine waiting to happen. Teams could auto-generate hundreds of variations of campaign images, changing outfits, background settings, tailoring them instantly to specific demographics. That removes so much manual labor from A/B testing creative. That's really compelling. But we have to talk constraints on the engineering side. This kind of power, it must come at a cost, right? Before a founder commits to making Flash Image a core feature, what are the hard technical trade-offs they absolutely must think about?
Yeah, the trade-offs really center on cost and performance. Flash Image, by focusing so hard on consistency, likely uses much more complex computational methods, like preserving and calculating those latent vectors we talked about for the unchanged parts.
Right.
That probably means it's more expensive per edit compared to just a basic image generation request. Founders got to meticulously factor in the API pricing model. It might be based on compute units or how complex the manipulation is, not just a flat rate per call.
So higher quality consistency probably means higher computational load, which equals a higher API price tag for each interaction.
Precisely. And you also have to worry about performance overhead and latency. If your app relies on instant edits and the API call introduces noticeable lag, say 2 to 3 seconds, the whole user experience falls apart, no matter how good the final image looks.
Yeah, that kills the magic.
Totally. So founders need robust error handling, caching strategies where possible, and really careful monitoring of those API rate limits, especially if they expect user traffic to spike.
Which brings us to the final and maybe most crucial consideration for any founder, the architecture, and the safeguards you absolutely need when deploying a tool this powerful.
Absolutely critical. When you give the mass market tools this good and this fast, the potential for misuse, especially around creating convincing fake or manipulated images, it's unavoidable if you don't build safeguards in from day one.
So what are the non-negotiables? What must founders implement?
You need strong safety measures baked in, not bolted on later. That means robust content filters, proactive moderation policies, even if automated initially. And given how powerful this is for manipulation, proper watermarking of edited images feels pretty essential for transparency and traceability.
And from a long-term engineering best practice view, you always stress keeping things modular. Why is that architectural choice so vital when integrating a specific vendor model like this one?
Because you just cannot afford to hardwire your entire product to any single vendor-specific API, even one as seemingly powerful as Google's Flash image right now. The tech moves too fast, pricing changes, competitors leapfrog each other. Your architecture has to be flexible.
So how does an engineer actually achieve that practical modularity?
You build an abstraction layer. Think of it like a middleware or proxy service internally. It handles all your app's calls related to image manipulation. Your core business logic only talks to this internal layer, okay? And that layer then routes the request to the specific vendor, whether that's Flash image today, maybe DALL tomorrow, or even a self-hosted Stable Diffusion model. This means if Google jacks up Flash image prices by 5x next month, you can potentially pivot to a competitor's API just by changing the code inside that abstraction layer, without needing to rewrite your entire application stack. Modularity isn't just nice to have, it's really the core strategy for long-term survival in this rapidly evolving AI space.
That insulation layer, it's the difference between a small feature update and a painful 6-month refactor. That's a really crucial point for engineering leads.
It's the ultimate form of future-proofing, really.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, let's nail down the 3 big takeaways for everyone listening. First, Google's massive strategic win here seems to be prioritizing user experience and that best-in-class character consistency, successfully lowering the bar for sophisticated image editing for, well, potentially everyone.
Second, the future of AI infrastructure is clearly modular. Specialized models like Flash image plugged in via APIs and SDKs are rapidly becoming the standard. They're replacing the need for giant, generalist LLMs in these high-efficiency specific workflows.
And third, for any founder, the goal is absolutely rapid integration to grab that market share, but that speed has to be balanced with really careful technical planning, particularly around those API costs, latency, and the architectural commitment to staying modular.
Now, here's something to kind of chew on as you think about where this tech is headed next. The specialized architecture, the focus on speed, consistency, manipulation, it feels like the blueprint for the next wave of visual editing tools, doesn't it?
Exactly. Flash images, mostly static images today, right? But its success in preserving likeness and blending elements. It just paves the way for the inevitable expansion into sophisticated video editing, and maybe even collaborative, real-time creative tools based on the same principles.
And if that capability becomes seamless and ubiquitous, imagine it not just in the Gemini app, but integrated as standard function across mainstream enterprise tools, think Google Docs, Slides, Drive. It moves from being this cool editing novelty to just a core feature of how we create and interact with content across our entire digital workspace. That level of seamless AI integration into everyday enterprise workflow, that's the real frontier we need to be watching.